please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
On the show today, we introduce you to a new crossover from Lexus in India. Two 125cc scooters battle against each other and the hottest launches from this week. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Datna. Lexus is expanding their SUV portfolio in India and justifiably so. Their latest entrant in the Indian market is a crossover which is doing very well in the global markets. Rohit will tell you more.
Given the popularity of crossovers and SUVs in the Indian market, compact crossovers is a very important genre for the luxury car makers. These cars are often tasked with the responsibility of bringing in first-timers to the brand. All the European manufacturers have done it, and Lexus doesn't want to lag behind. And their offering comes in the form of the NX. If you have been monitoring Lexus model lines for a while, then you might notice that compared to the original NX that debuted in 2014, the model that you see here amps up the aggression and cleans up the facial details thanks to a new bumper design and revised air intakes. If you have taken interest in the Lexus lineup only after its recent entry into India though, then you will notice that the NX has a close familial resemblance to the RX. The squared wheel arches, the pinched window line, the swooping rear windshield and the sleek wraparound taillights highlight that connection. Look at it with a keen eye though and you will notice a more detailed 3-pot headlamp cluster and the harpoon-shaped daytime running lights, both of which are quite similar to the lovely RCF that we drove earlier this year. Lexus have chosen two handsome designs for the machine finish alloy wheels, and their 18-inch diameter gives the NX a beefed up stance. The aggression is dialed up further with the optional F Sport trim that bears a more complex detailing on the polarizing spindle grille and carves out larger intakes in the bumpers. Compared to its X, Q and GL rivals, the NX enjoys a more exclusive design, and that is courtesy of a body that nicely merges the crossover body style with lines and details that are inspired from the sports cars in Lexus's range. And apart from this exclusive design, the other unique selling point for this car is of course the hybrid drivetrain, a green technology that none of its rivals, even from a segment higher, offer in the Indian market. The hybrid powertrain gives this car its 300h moniker, and the system consists of a 2.5-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine that is mated to two electric motors for a total system output of about 197 PS. The NX usually takes off with pure electric propulsion if the batteries have charged, and soon after, the petrol engine wakes up. With both these power sources working in tandem, Lexus claims that the NX300h can do up to 18.32 kilometers to a litre as per ARAI's Indian driving cycle with a CO2 emissions figure of 138 grams per kilometer. The power is routed to the road through an electronic continuously variable transmission and an electric all-wheel drive system dubbed as the E4. The hybrid drivetrain predominantly drives the front wheels of the car. However, there is an additional electric motor that can drive the rear wheels and provide extra grip if the computers detect some sort of slip at the front. The system works quite discreetly, and an intelligent torque vectoring system will also summon the service of the E4 system in scenarios like spirited cornering or acceleration from standstill, because pushing is easier than pulling. While the torque vectoring system is always alert, there is no way to manually activate the all-wheel drive system. You can, however, choose between Eco, Normal and Sport modes to alter the throttle and gearbox responses using a rotary knob on the console. We have been spoiled by responsive and quick gearboxes in this price bracket, and the eCVT by nature feels laid back in comparison. The NX is meant to be driven peacefully in the city or to cruise effortlessly on the highway, and in that sense it will appeal more to the sensible, more economy and emissions conscious buyer than the throttle mashing enthusiast. The aforementioned driving modes will also alter steering feel and suspension behavior. The Lexus NX300h ships with adaptive dampers as a standard fit, and these can alter damping forces as per the road or your driving intent. My initial impressions are positive on the ride comfort, at least on the roads of Goa where we sampled the car. The overall noise insulation of the cabin seems quite good too. Speaking of the cabin, the NX offers plenty of upholstery options depending on the trim you choose. Fit and finish is as premium as you would expect in a Lexus. The 10.3-inch infotainment system has an intuitive interface and finally chucks that annoying joystick controller for a friendly touchpad with haptic feedback. The cabin is secured with 8 airbags, including a dual-chamber airbag for the front passenger. Other safety systems include traction control, vehicle stability control, and anti-lock brakes. Radar-guided safety systems and assistance technologies have sadly been given the miss. Though our first drive lasted less than 70 kilometers, I'm impressed with the space and the comfort of the cabin. Some of the other luxury crossovers that sit on a similar wheelbase as the NX don't seem as roomy in the back seat. So that takes care of the most common complaints that buyers have with the cars in the luxury compact segment. Speaking of space, let's put things into perspective. While the wheelbase of the NX is quite similar to that of the X1 or the Q3, its cabin is on par with the likes of the Q5 and the GLC. Like the Germans, the NX is spacious and well kitted out, and its radical design and the cleaner and greener hybrid powertrain set it apart from its rivals. In theory then, all these attributes should work in its favor.
We have to admit that's quite a handsome crossover, but in January we'll be able to get you the finer details of the pricing. Time then for us to take our first break here on the show, but coming up on the other side we have Auto Selector with Shumi and the latest on our motoring news section. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive and you've joined us on our Auto Selector segment here on the show with the Overdrive editor Shumi. Thank you for joining us on the show, Shumi. Our first question this week comes in from Sarvanan. He writes in saying that he wants to upgrade from his Vento manual transmission car to a petrol automatic. His daily usage is usually within the city, which is around 35 kilometers, and annually it extends to around 10,000 kilometers. His budget is around 15 lakh rupees. What would you suggest?
Sarvanan, I'm sorry to say, but in the budget that you've got, 15 lakh rupees, there isn't really an upgrade to the Vento petrol automatic. If you do want a petrol automatic, the only upgrade I can think of which will be close is a SUV petrol automatic, and those are all around the 18 to 20 lakh rupee mark, where also are all the competing sedans. So if you're going to stick to your budget, stick with the Vento or replace the Vento with a new one if you like, but there aren't really too many options in your budget. Open your budget up to about 20 lakh rupees, you get a lot of options. If you just were to want to move to an SUV, for example, you'll get the Creta, you'd get the Jeep Compass petrol, so there are a lot of options there, but not in your budget.
Well, up next, Shatrujit Mishra writes in saying he wants to buy a sports commuter by May 2018. His priorities are ABS, LCD display, a good exhaust note, and he wants the power to be above 34 PS and of course a mileage of 25 kilometers per litre and above. There is no price limit. What would you suggest?
Shatrujit, as soon as you put a cap on the fuel economy of your motorcycle, you've already capped the displacement. If you want a guaranteed 25 kilometers per litre, you can't really go higher than a 250, maybe a 300. If you go any larger, you'll have to ride it very slowly to extract 25 kilometers per litre. So I would say two things. One, wait for the Auto Expo to see if there are any surprises in the 150 to 200, 250cc class that match your requirements. But I would say that if your budget is unlimited as per your question, why are you restricting yourself to 25 kilometers per litre? Open your mind out a little bit and allow the fuel economy to not be so important. And then suddenly your market opens up, because then you get the choice of waiting for Royal Enfield's Interceptor or Continental GT. By the end of the year, they'll be out. I'm expecting a price around the 3 lakh rupee mark. They'll meet all of your other requirements, except maybe for the LCD display. The Kawasaki Z650 is in that segment, very well priced, very nice motorcycle to ride. And if you look at the 650s, there are a lot of options in there. So 25 kilometers per litre, KTM 250 Duke, I think, is your safe option right now, or wait for the Auto Expo. If you're willing to forego that requirement, there are a lot of options on the market.
Well, Shumi, our next question this week comes in from Raj Babu. He writes in saying that he wants to buy a premium petrol hatchback and it's also going to be his first car, but the deadline of course is January 2018. He is confused between the Hyundai Elite i20 and the Maruti Suzuki Baleno. His priorities are good ride quality, nice handling, low maintenance, good value for money, decent mileage, comfortable seating for 4 to 5 passengers. What would you suggest?
Raj Babu, if ride quality is the thing that you're looking for, the car I would recommend is not either of these two cars, but the i20 Active, which is, it sits slightly taller, and our testing, it proved to have slightly better ride quality than the other two. But I would actually suggest that you hold your horses, because the new i20 should be shown, it's a facelift, should be shown at the Auto Expo, and then we'll figure out what the launch dates are. But between the i20 and the Baleno, they're both extremely competent cars. I think we like the feature set of the Baleno more, but the i20 is a more comfortable car with more options and equipment per trim level. But I would suggest i20 Active, or just wait, let the Auto Expo get through, we'll know when the new cars are here.
And our final question, Shumi, this week comes in from Rahul Funage. He writes in saying he owns a Pulsar AS 150 and his daily usage of course is riding at night for 30 kilometers, but he is not satisfied with the illumination of the projector headlamp of his motorcycle. Is it possible, he asks, to replace the halogen bulb with a xenon or LED bulb in the existing projector setup?
Rahul, I would suggest that if you wanted more illumination, the better way to do rather than modify a headlight is to get one of these auxiliary lights and put that on your bike. There are the cheap Chinese options that start at about 2,500 rupees. They aren't very good in terms of the focus of the reflector, but they are much brighter than your headlamp, and they will immediately make an improvement. And unless you go very fast, the fact that the reflectors aren't very good shouldn't make too much of a difference to you. LEDs are a slightly dicey subject because the prices go from 2,000 rupees to 30,000 rupees, depends on your budget. But that's what I would do rather than mess with the headlight. If you do want to mess with the headlight, I think the change I would ask you to make is look for one of these bulbs on Amazon. I personally use the Osram Nightbreaker Plus. They give you 130% more lumens, but they give you half the bulb life. That will immediately improve the power of your headlight. And I don't think that will be enough. And if that's not enough, you have to go to an LED.
Well, just like the others, if you have any more queries, do send them to us at helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also Facebook or tweet us your queries, and we promise to get Chewy to answer them for you on the show. Now, it's been a very busy week for two motorcycle manufacturers. Kawasaki and BMW Motorrad have launched new motorcycles in the Indian market. Check it out. Kawasaki India has launched the Versys X300 at 4.60 lakh rupees ex-showroom Mumbai and Delhi. The Kawasaki Versys X300 is the smallest adventure tourer in the country and also the most affordable at this price. It will be assembled at Kawasaki's new facility in Chakan, Maharashtra. The engine is similar to the one that powers the Kawasaki Ninja 300. However, in the Versys X300, it has been retuned for better low and mid-range grunt. Bookings are open and customers can book one at any Kawasaki dealership in the country. BMW Motorrad has added two new motorcycles to its sprawling India lineup. First up is the 2017 BMW K1600B, priced at 29 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi. This one is essentially a tourer with the tech and features seen on the K1600 GTL. The second motorcycle is the retro classic R90 Racer, priced at 17.30 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi. Both these motorcycles will be brought to the country via the CBU route, and while the company has already started taking bookings of these machines, deliveries of the same will begin soon. Well, time then for us to take our final break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we pit two 125cc scooters against each other. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, unlike last year, which saw plenty of action in the scooter segment, this year has been a little on the downer in terms of scooters being launched in the Indian market. Now, just towards the fag end of this year, of course, Honda has launched a 125cc scooter, the Grazia, and we decided to pit it against its closest rival, the Suzuki Access 125. Take a look.
The Honda Activa is the highest selling scooter in the country overall, but when it comes to the 125cc segment, it is the Suzuki Access that has been the highest seller and the more popular name for a good 10 years now. The Activa 125 is a good scooter certainly, but it has not been able to dethrone the Access, and to strengthen its position in the 125cc segment further, Honda has just launched the new Grazia, a more premium and feature-rich scooter. Can it push the Access off its lofty perch though? I have both scooters here with me to find that out. There's a big difference between the way both these scooters have been designed, and Suzuki has gone in for a rather simple and retro look for the Access, whereas Honda has gone in for a snazzier approach for the Grazia, trying to make it appeal better to younger buyers.
The Grazia looks properly modern and youthful with its sharp lines. Its edgy styling echoes Honda's futuristic approach, particularly the LED headlight and large turn indicators that are positioned on the front apron. In keeping with its position, the Grazia also gets a fully digital console, including a tachometer, and the console does look eye-catching with its layout and color scheme. The proportions are tight and the Grazia is compact for a 125cc scooter. The Access, on the other hand, is a taller, retro-looking scooter with simple lines. Its front apron is a lot more upright and houses long turn indicators that accentuate the tall feeling. The console on the Access is a simple affair with a white background. The rear end looks simple and even the exhaust is positioned horizontally for that retro appeal. Its styling has been received well, and I feel the styling of the Access will also age better as compared to the Grazia's exuberant design. The quality of plastics on the Suzuki is slightly better, which also adds to the scooter's appeal.
Both scooters are powered by single-cylinder 125cc engines, and the outputs are identical at about 8.5 PS each. But the Suzuki Access feels slightly peppier, especially when taking off from standstill. But I think that has more to do with the fact that the Access is about 10 kg lighter than the Grazia and not the engine performance.
The Access and Grazia both come from Japanese manufacturers of the highest repute, and engine refinement is a given. Both engines feel extremely smooth, though the Honda feels slightly stressed at high revs, unlike the Suzuki that feels unstressed at all times. The Access is thus better when it comes to sustaining higher speeds, which also makes it the better of the two for longer stints in the saddle. In terms of acceleration, the Access may be slightly quicker off the line, but the Grazia offers a better mid-range punch, and both are on par with each other in this department.
The Access and Grazia are both positioned as premium scooters, but when it comes to features and equipment, it is the Honda here that has the upper hand.
The Grazia's digital console isn't just nice to look at. It is also a cut above the simple-looking analog console on the Access, as it integrates a tachometer and digital clock, both of which the Access misses out on. The Grazia also gets a set of 3 lights to tell you how efficiently you are riding, though I'm not exactly convinced about it being used very often by owners. Both scooters get charging slots as optional accessories, and while the Grazia gets a small, covered compartment, the Access only gets an open pocket to hold your phone. Opening the boot on both scooters is easy, though the Access is slightly quicker, where you simply turn the key to the left, while on the Grazia, you need to turn the key and press a doorbell-like switch. In terms of under-seat storage, the Access betters the Grazia again, but only by a small margin, as neither scooter can hold a full-face helmet.
When it comes to comfort, it is the Suzuki Access that has the upper hand. It feels more comfortable to sit on with its taller handlebars and the flat seat. The seat on the Access is also more accommodating and uses slightly softer cushioning, which makes it better suited for longer rides.
The Grazia's riding position will suit younger riders better with its angled seat and lower handlebars. The suspension setup on the Access is also slightly softer, which makes for a better ride quality on bad roads, adding to its comfort. The Access soaks up bumps and potholes better as well, while the Grazia uses a slightly stiffer setup that trades comfort for sportier handling. The cushioning used by Honda for the Grazia's seat is also firmer, which limits its comfort on longer rides. The Grazia's stiffer suspension makes it engaging to ride, and youngsters are sure to like its handling. But despite its slightly softer setup, the Access feels equally sporty, if not better in terms of handling.
The Grazia comes across as a sporty and youthful 125cc scooter and is certainly likable. But the Suzuki Access, I think, comes across as a better package overall. Its retro design is liked better by a lot of buyers. Everybody ranging from college goers to women, office goers to senior citizens all seem to appreciate the classic design better as compared to the Grazia, which has a lot more character, but I think is clearly intended for the younger buyer only. Well, to its advantage, the Honda offers more features and equipment, and I particularly like the LED headlights and the digital console, but the Suzuki comes back with a better ride quality, comfort and more space, which also makes it a better family scooter. What's more, the Access also costs about 2,000 rupees lesser than the Grazia, which swings my vote in its favor and also makes it the winner of this comparison test.
Well, that's it then from us on this week's episode of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook as well as Twitter, and you can follow our latest videos on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and thanks for watching.